What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, the show where we talk about our top 5 comics, the news, and of course, have a pretty awesome topic. And this week's topic, we're going to be talking about Avengers. We're going to be assembling our own teams. But before we get to that, we just got to give, of course, a quick introduction. Myself is Mike Spiderslayer from the YouTube channel, obviously Comic Book Corner 2.0. And then next to me, I have Brant Fowler from Only Good Comics. That's his YouTube channel. And he also has Last Ember Press. What do you do over there, Brant?
I create comic books, and publish other people's comic books. So,
Right.
yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show, too. So, hey, what's up, everybody?
So, yes, welcome back, everybody. Want to welcome the early people onto the show. We got Get the Key Comic. We have Larry Smith. Had myself talking to the people on the chat, and then the name changes, and then we have Parker Luck. What's that? So we're gonna get to that main topic once we build the audience a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into some of these news pieces, and then probably within the next 15 minutes or so, maybe less, probably we're going to talk about this Avenger stuff. All right. So you ready to go, Brant?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive into that. So we only have one media news piece this week, so we'll cover that first, which is the very short Invincible Season 2 teaser trailer thing, which was a teaser for a teaser, basically.
Oh, yeah, I was disappointed, actually.
I know, right? It's funny because I was watching, or I was like scrolling through Instagram. I think Ryan Otley shared this. That he was like sharing the video clip and was like, it's coming soon, but watch this. It was like, and then the video cut off, and it's like, where's the rest of the video? And then you had to go search the video. And but yeah, the teaser was basically just saying, hey, we're coming sometime soon. Keep watching.
Yep. Yeah.
But it was fun.
It was funny. Yeah, it was good. It was like typical, like Invincible when it's, not all battling and stuff, and
Right.
that's what I liked liked about it. It was like a down to earth type of trailer. And it just, what it did though, is it got me excited because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh man, I can't wait for this. Cause now, it's getting closer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just, man, I'm excited for it. It feels like it's been forever. Like I've moved houses since that first season, and it's like, oh man, and I've been in this house for a while. So it's like, give me that second season, please. Waiting for it.
Speaking of TV, I did watch The Last of Us.
Did you? And
yeah, so I watched the first episode today and the second episode.
Okay, I haven't seen the second yet, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it's really good. I'm not gonna lie. The first episode, that first 20 minutes or so, like when the whole world starts to go to shit, like that is my favorite. Like I've said it all the time with apocalyptic shows. I feel like you never see why the apocalypse happened or what was the reasoning. And I find that the most interesting. I love seeing the downfall of civilization. And so when you got to see that in the beginning, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden, it goes 20 years later. I'm like, 20 years. I'm like, how much time has passed? And I'm not going to lie, probably in that next half hour, 35 minutes, it was starting to lose me there because it just started introducing all these random characters and just all that stuff that was going on. I'm like, I don't know now. I'm like, it went from going from 0 to 60 to like 5 miles an hour. Yeah. But then once they left their safe zone or whatever it is, that's when it picked up. And this second episode, man, it's a really, really good. So
nice.
Yeah, you're going to like this one. And it's 55 minutes, I think. So it's shorter, this one.
It's been like probably 9-10 years since I've seen anything from the video game because I haven't played it in a long time. But if I remember correctly, if it's anything like the video game, it's like once they leave that safe zone, and then it's the quest to get her, to where she needs to go, then everything is just, kind of ramping up. There's obviously going to be, slower moments. It's a TV show, but
Sure.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have more action and interest. But I totally get that about that first part of the time jump, because it's like you got to reintroduce everybody and you got to, get your bearings and all that stuff. But I agree with you. I like that they spent that whole 20, 30 minutes building up what was going to happen. And then, following off that tragedy, kind of going into that. So far, really good.
It was creepy, dude. Like that old lady in the wheelchair in the background. I'm like, this is creeping me out right now, man. I'm like, this is insane. But I loved it, and I think you're gonna like the beginning of this second episode, as well too. So it kind of goes back to again the apocalypse, the beginning of it. So that's really cool, man. We got a couple of people out here. Just want to give a quick some more shout outs, and Comic Toby's on. It says, hey, I got my books from New Comic Book Day already. Home run. Congratulations on that. Sleepy Reader's on here, long time watcher of the channel, and he says, hey guys, so he's watching, so thank you. And Tizzy the Gray, of course, I knew we were gonna get this, Probably people are like, well, Kat's not on, so see you later.
She's in paradise tonight. So
she's away. She's away this week. Yeah. And so it's just the boys this week. So, you'll just have to deal with us. Yeah. So,
not sorry.
Yeah. Hopefully you won't tune out and you'll deal with us tonight, right? Let's see. Tevia says hi. And see, look, Tristan says, well, where's Comic Uno? Have you played the Last of Us game? No, I actually never have. I've never even, this is bad because I think I've heard of it, but I've never even tried to play it before, So, and I didn't realize it was such a big game.
Yeah. There was a sequel to it that was really big too. Yeah. It's a huge game. And I've actually never played it either. For those of you that remember Chris, who used to be on the show, he made me twist of my arm, made me watch the whole walkthrough years and years ago, like at the very beginning of this show. And so we could talk about it.
Blowing up too.
Yeah, it was so we had a video game podcast at the time, so we wanted to talk about it. That's why I watched it. But
I'm not watching The Last of Us. Already played the game and don't see a need to watch it, but I like the actors and love the games. I see. It's kind of like you could kind of say the same for like The Walking Dead, but I liked it just to see like how the actors would act and how the creatures would look on screen, and that's what I liked about The Walking Dead, and comparing it like live action. It's different. I understand you get the concept of the story, but it's cool to see it in a TV format, right?
Yeah, and especially if, like Walking Dead, they diverge from that familiar story a little bit, which I'm sure they will.
Right. So we got a team. Like I said, we're going to get through a few more of these news pieces. We wanted to get some audience on here, and then we're gonna talk about our Avengers team. Okay, so we'll get there in a couple minutes. I'll drop my list when I have a sit down. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of people already dropping it in. All right, so that's cool. So let's go ahead. Let's continue with the news. What do you got next, Brant?
Yeah, so this is an interesting piece. An Archie character, like an old classic Archie character, is getting his own actual cult in Archie comics. This is a character called Bingo Wilkin, or he had a long-running comic series back in the I don't know when it was, like the 60s, called that Wilkins Boy or something like that. And I'd never actually heard of this character, or maybe I have, and I just don't remember. Maybe he's shown up here and there, but interesting way to go, like a rock and roll cult kind of horror book, and more up your alley, Mike, with the horror stuff. But definitely, Archie does horror actually surprisingly well.
No, so, I'm getting that. The one with is it Veronica? It's a one shot with Veronica that's getting ready to come out.
Okay. Is it a new Vampironica, or is it another thing?
No, it's not Vampironica. It's like
it's another.
It's a one shot that I saw
Okay.
God, I don't know if it was on my final cutoff and I put it on there, but it's a story that has to deal with her in it. So
Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick this up. So it looked really good.
Nice. Very cool. I don't remember that one. The only one I saw that was like coming out soon was Archie versus the World, and I think it's another one
Yeah.
of those like the greatest story ever. It's got a bunch of different stories, but that's cool. Like I said, they do horror pretty well with their characters, and it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting what they can do. So I don't know. I'll try it out. See what see what Bingo Wilkins is all about. Right?
Nice name.
Yeah. Next up, we got a couple of Ghost Rider things, which is again up your alley because I'm not reading either one of these books. But the first one is Wolverine and Ghost Rider are crossing over as they face a foe that's like both of theirs in their rogues gallery or whatever, or past villain that they both tackled before.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll check it out. I think Wolverine and Ghost Rider are a pretty cool team up. They teamed up in the current Ghost Rider run, which I thought which was fun.
Nice.
And you know, I just think they're badass, man. It just reminds me of a kid when I was a kid, and it was just like Wolverine, Ghost Rider, pretty badass, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, not much to say about it, except I'll definitely check it out. I'm not a huge Ghost Rider fan. Like, I've never been, but
Yeah.
it's just those characters just look cool. And if you can get a solid story to go along with it, then it's a bonus, right? So, like, this current series of Ghost Rider is a phenomenal story. And we're talking about Danny Ketch. He makes his return in the last page of the last issue. So,
Nice.
he's going to be, and that's in our news piece here. And it
Right. That's
says,
the other one.
he's going to be returning in the series, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to see what his role is and if he's being manipulated or brainwashed or whatever it is. But I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, very cool. I'm sure a lot of Ghost Rider fans are going to be happy to see Ketch back. It's funny, like when I was first into comics, my friend that kind of got me into comic shops was a couple of years older than me. So he was into all those. He was into Lobo and Wolverine and Punisher and all that stuff. And I was more into the lighter stuff because I was like 12, 13. So I was like,
Right.
oh, Spider-Man, New Warriors, G.I. Joe, So it took me a while to get up to that point where I was like, oh, cool guys, But,
it's like you had Wolverine and Ghost Rider and Deathlock and Punisher.
Yeah.
Like those were the little bit more edgier characters,
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Moving on to another horror title, kind of new James Tynion title coming out from Image in April called World Tree, and it's spelled with a 0 and 2 3s.
Yeah,
but
it's weird.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept where these kids they create or they just they discover this thing called the undernet, which is kind of like the dark web, but a completely different dark web.
Yeah.
And it leads to like these horrific things that happen and kind of leak out from that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it seems like a cool concept. I just want, hopefully, I mean, I saw some of the artwork in there and I'm like, I don't want artwork like in, what's the last series? The Nice House on the Lake. Like I want better artwork so I can get a better, feel of who the characters are. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully this series doesn't take as long to come out and it's more frequent. I felt Nice House on the Lake was a great story, but it took too many breaks after issue 6. And it just took forever to finish, and then it kind of lost its momentum.
Oh yeah, totally. So many breaks and so many delays and all that stuff. And when that last issue came out, which I still have not read, it was like I almost forgot about it completely. So yeah, I hope this one comes out faster too. But I'm definitely going to try it. It sounds interesting, and it's like right at the cusp of Y2K. It happens in 1999, so you got that whole thing going on. So it's going to tie into all that, and the art looks decent. Some of it I couldn't show on the stream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, check that out. So that's that. And then let's do you want to talk about the Venomverse stuff real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So the Venomverse apparently is ending. It's the death of the Venomverse, which I'm not reading Venom anymore, so that doesn't really affect me. But it's supposed to be like this big event this year, and before that, we're getting Extreme Venomverse, and then it's tied into the Summer of the Symbiotes, and it's just everything Venom everywhere is basically what's going on with all of this.
I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely scared. It seemed like excuse me, it seemed like it could have potential that might have a little bit more substance than, say, the Gwenverse story.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan North is writing this one,
Oh, well,
so
that's plus, yeah.
I'm gonna try it, obviously, and I just wish though we don't need any of these verses, these Spider verses or Venom verses or Gwen verses. It's like, why are we keep repeating this same idea over and over again?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I just I'm tired of all that stuff too. Like the current Spider-Verse stuff is just I think we've all talked about this, how disappointed we are with how that whole thing is going. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I'm definitely not excited by this. The Summer of Symbiotes I'll check out, but this whole Extreme Venomverse and Death of Venomverse, I'm just not invested in that, unfortunately, personally. But yeah.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about Loki real quick, and then we'll get into our Avengers stuff. Loki's getting his own title, and obviously Loki season 2 is about to drop on Disney Plus, so very timely.
I mean, I think they're actually starting to get smart by starting to release stuff when shows are getting ready to come out. So I think that's a good idea. And that's the same thing like when we talk about Avengers. I think it's the right time to introduce a new Avengers team because it's like leading into the future of Avengers movies. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I think this is a good time for Loki to come out with a series in the comics. So, readers can maybe get familiar with him and then get pumped for the show. I don't know. I don't know if I'll still be picking this up, though, because I'm not a big Loki guy. But I do think it's the right thing.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because the comic, which comes out in June, features a bunch of Loki variants. Which, if you watch the show, there's a lot of Loki variants in that show,
Right.
so they're really kind of tying that in. So, the current Avengers storyline, I'm going to say spoiler here because I am going to spoil something. So, if you've not read Avengers Forever, you're not caught up on the current Avengers event. I do want to warn you. I am about to spoil something. So if you want to fast forward a minute or two, if you're watching this post live, or mute. So Avengers Forever revealed the identity of Avenger Prime after all this time. And we finally find out who it is. And you and I talked about it earlier. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Loki, it is a Loki. So Loki is the mastermind behind this whole thing. He's the greatest hero in Marvel. Interesting way to go with Loki, but it kind of makes sense. So
I'm like, and then we were talking about, I'm like, we should have known that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very fitting.
It's kind of a no-brainer, yeah.
Right? After you're like, oh, you're kind of like hitting yourself in the face going, how did I not even figure that out on my own,
Right.
But in all reality, though, with what's going on with the current Avengers book right now, it's just like, does anybody really care about it anymore? You know what I'm saying?
And I think maybe that's why we didn't figure it out, because we just weren't invested enough in the overall story to kind of put that brain power behind and figure it out.
Right.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like, none of us are on this show or reading the main Avengers series right now. I've been reading Avengers Forever, which now is tying into that. But now that it's tying into that, I'm still only reading Avengers Forever. So, but yeah, that brings us to our last news piece, which you did a video on your channel about, which is the new creative team and roster for the Avengers coming up, which is Jed MacKay is writing the Avengers, which I'm very excited about.
Oh yeah,
And,
I am too. I mean, he did write the Timeless book, and this Avengers title is going to be going into the overarching story is going to be about that moment, right? That missing moment.
Right.
And then obviously all the other surrounding stories we'll see. But we talked about it last week before this was announced when it came to the dark web, how Jed MacKay is that next level writer. And if he can give characters certain personality traits or add layers to a character, it's him. So certain characters that are in this series you may not like, but he could write them better and you might like them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. We have who is it? We got Scarlet Witch in Vision, right?
Vision.
In
Yeah.
there. You got
Okay.
Sam Wilson that's in there, Black Panther that's in there. You got Carol Danvers that's leading the team. That's in there. Iron Man is in there as well.
And Thor.
Who is it? Thor. Thor's in there too. So, but you got no Captain America.
Well, you got Sam. He's one of
Yeah,
the
but
Captain Americas.
you don't have Steve Rogers, and then
You don't have Steve Rogers. Yeah.
someone told me he's going to be doing the Uncanny Avengers. He's going to be leading that.
Oh, that makes
So
sense.
someone messaged me that today, actually, in my
Yeah.
comments. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. But then I'm like, well, why can't Sam Wilson do the Uncanny Avengers, right? So
part of it's making it familiar for the people that watch the movies and stuff, because that's seems to be where his role might have been heading from Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? So I get that. I don't have a huge problem with that. I get the nostalgia having Steve on there. I would have rather had like a new Avengers type team where you're mixing things up. This feels more classic, aside from Captain Marvel and Sam. We've seen all these people on the Avengers before, but
right.
I actually really like Captain Marvel. I've liked her for a long time, and I think she would make a fine leader of the Avengers. And we don't often see a female leader of the Avengers, so I'm on board for that. I'm good, and especially with Jed MacKay writing it, because he just gets characters. He does really good character work. So
Right. Let me get this super chat here from Frank, and he says, like the lineup, except for them pushing Falcon Cap down our throat. Just leave him as Falcon. I like Sam Wilson as Falcon personally. I thought the idea of him being Captain America was really good in the beginning when Cap was gone and there was someone that had to take that mantle, but for him to kind of stay that way, it doesn't work for me. There's just one thing there just needs to be one Captain America, I get that there's multiples of characters. Like we have multiple Hulks, we got multiple Spider-Mans, right? But multiple Captain Americas. Isn't there like one true Captain America when you think about it?
I mean, that's yes. I think traditionally speaking, Steve Rogers is Captain America, but I'm also, it's hard because we had this discussion last week about Miles and Peter and how it's good to have Miles as Spider-Man. So I think it's a similar argument there with Sam. The problem with Sam as Cap is I don't think the comics have done the best job in selling him as Cap. And the series that they've done with him as Cap haven't kept my interest as one individual on the internet talking about a Captain America book. It hasn't done anything for me, unfortunately. I haven't enjoyed those stories. So I think if they had done a better job of cultivating him as Captain America, maybe there wouldn't be as much, blowback about that. And I think that's true of any character that they bring in to be somebody to take another role like that. If they build it up properly, if you have a good creative team behind it, you're more accepting of that character in that role. And we just haven't seen that with Sam so far. That's my take anyway.
Right. So what do you think of this roster. I mean, you said, you're fine with Carol being the leader as long as she's written okay. And I feel like if she's written okay, and I feel like we talked about, if anybody can write her, it is Jed MacKay, because we know that example. We both know that example because we both read Black Cat, right? I think we both read Taskmaster. Did you read Taskmaster?
Yeah.
I thought you did, yeah.
And I'm reading Moon Knight, yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of things that he does well. So hopefully he can rate her to the point where she is a respectable leader. Someone mentioned, why is there no Hulk? Well, I mean, when you look at Thor being on the team and Captain Marvel being on the team, that's pretty freaking strong.
Yeah, and also if you look at what's going on with the Hulks in Marvel right now, I don't think any of them would fit in that team.
Yeah, the Hulk is not even on World at the moment,
Yeah.
and we don't even know where he's going from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could put She-Hulk, but they just had her on the team, so they probably wanted to do something a little different.
Right.
So
anybody else that you wanted to be on that team, for instance, just like that you were hoping for?
Well, with Carol on there, I would obviously want Spider-Woman, just because they have that, best friendship thing. Yeah, that relationship that plays out in every book that those two are typically in. So, and she's been an Avenger before. She was part of the New Avengers, and I really like that dynamic between the two. So I thought that would be good. Aside from that, it's like I could have stood. Honestly, I could have stood in Avengers without Tony Stark on it, just to have something different. So I don't know who I would replace. Like, I don't think Ironheart's quite there yet. So I don't know if you go a different route completely and not have an Iron Man on there at all, which seems a little odd. But
it would be weird not to have the original Captain America, Iron Man, or Hulk on a team like that, right?
Yeah. But it's cool seeing Vision and Scarlet Witch back on the team because, if you go back classic, that's, way back when they first got introduced into the Avengers series and converted over from being villains or at least in Scarlet Witch's case. And yeah, I like the general team. I would have liked to seen a little bit more variation, bring in some newer characters and stuff. If you're going to go that route and kind of mix things up. And I just hope it makes sense why this particular team is chosen.
I would like them to explain that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That would be cool. Tevia says, so no Spider-Man on Avengers. Come on, man. He's always been the reserve Avengers. He's not.
He was part of New Avengers.
Yeah, he's a loner, though. He needs to be on his own.
They could have gotten one Spider character. There's none. I mean, there's so many Spider characters.
You said Spider-Woman. I think I think that would have been a pretty good person to add to that team. Bring her back.
But they already have two women, Mike. They can't have a third.
Oh God. So, all right. So let's get into your Avengers team, right? Yeah, so this is. Now, everybody, this is where you can start putting in your teams, and we'll shout them out. And here's one already. We have infamous Mike Manhattan says, my Avengers lineup: Spider-Man as leader, Daredevil, Wolverine, Luke Cage, Monica Rambeau, and Doctor Strange. It's pretty solid lineup.
Yeah. Again, leaning more towards that New Avengers kind of style lineup.
Right. You want to hear mine?
Sure.
This is completely this is funny. Mine is a freaking couples Avengers. So you're gonna have Scarlet Witch and Vision, right? Sure. Then you're gonna have Captain America and Peggy Carter, and then you're gonna have Hawkeye and Bobby, right? And then you're gonna have Iron Man and Pepper Potts. There we go. And she's gonna be, but she's gonna be Rescue.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So then you have 2 like Iron Man characters in there. So
Yeah,
that is my all new, all different, completely out there Avengers. I needed to do something different that way.
yeah. No, that's cool. I think I would honestly, and I know the stuff with the X-Men is all, you can't really use those characters at all. I wish you could, because I would like to see some of those characters kind of shift alliances a little bit. So I would love to see like a Rogue or a Jean Grey on the Avengers. I think that would be
Well, that'd be
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, and like not Uncanny Avengers, the blended
Yeah,
team,
just
just the
real
main
Avengers,
team.
but with
Yeah,
mutants in it.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, when you're talking about a team like the Avengers, you're wanting a like a incredibly powerful team that can tackle world threats, right? It's your Justice League of the Marvel universe.
Right.
So you want heavy hitters. So how heavier a hitter can you get than Jean Grey?
That's true.
I mean, right? And or even like Cyclops, you know,
I'll put
throw
Emma
somebody
Frost
like
in
that.
team.
Yeah, Emma Frost. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So somebody like
she's
that.
a little edgier. Like she might not hesitate. You know what I'm saying? She'll push it over the edge a little bit.
And we've already seen her recently interacting with both Iron Man and Cap, Steve Rogers Cap.
Right.
So that would be interesting. Put Iron Man and Emma Frost on a team together.
Yeah,
I would like to see something like that. Some kind of blended, you know, X-Men Avengers, and bring up some of the younger kids and make them Avengers too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Let's see. We got Serenity says my Avengers would be Valkyrie, Vision,
That's a good
Scarlet Witch and Wasp, Janet, Black Cat, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Wasp as leader. That's an interesting lineup. Black Cat being an Avenger would be quite interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, she's such a conundrum, because she does the right thing, but she will not stop doing the wrong thing either. So she's a thief, you know, she's always going to steal stuff. So it's trying to put her, but at the same time, she kind of has this weird dynamic with Iron Man, and she's, you know, obviously Spider-Man and her often do good together. And so I could see that, especially with Jed MacKay writing. I mean, I do appreciate that he didn't just like do the Bendis thing where he just takes his favorite character and puts them in, you know, in the Avengers, and you know, makes them prominent and stuff. So, but at the same time, I love his writing of Black Cat, so that would be very cool to see her in that team. But I like Valkyrie. I like Valkyrie being on the Avengers. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a Jane Foster being on the team. Yeah.
Last time she was on the Secret Avengers. That was the last time she was on a team.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, that's pretty neat, man. It's different. That's a different lineup. I like that. You know, I'm surprised too that Black Widow is not on the team either. On this new team. So, and who's to say though, it might change. You know, there might be somebody on there right now, and then that it completely changes in like 2-3 issues. You know, where they recruit somebody else.
Yeah, it's interesting that they, after everything with Scarlet Witch, the Scarlet Witch is back on the Avengers. And I don't like, it's going to be interesting to see how this team comes together, because I can't make sense in my head. Where's Vision been? Why is he back on the team? How in the world did they bring Scarlet Witch on? Are they facing a magical threat that they needed to bring her in? Or is she just like, hey, I'm back, guys?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting. Tevia says, my Avengers lineup is Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker, Nightcrawler, X-23, all-new Wolverine, Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, Miles Morales, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Daredevil, and Cassie Lang.
That's a big team.
Stature and Wiccan. It's the longest Avengers lineup ever. And that is some mix of characters right there. Let me tell you. You would have to get Mayday from the other universe.
Yeah. He did take my suggestion though. It's like mix up the X-Men, the Avengers, young heroes, other reality heroes. That's interesting lineup though.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, he has more. He wants out Hulkling in there too.
Okay, so just Young Avengers and X-Men. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I would like to
That's
see Mr.
interesting.
Fantastic, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor, and then Captain America as leader. That would be interesting, having Reed Richards the leader of Avengers. You want to
Yeah.
talk about Sue getting pissed off at him. It's like, you never have time for me now. Now that you're part of the Avengers. But you
I
want to
would,
talk about smart.
yeah, I would counter that with, instead of putting Reed in it, put Sue in it. She's been an
Oh.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's been this and that. She's been a spy. So, and also we've seen like Avengers become members of the Fantastic Four. We haven't really seen that the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be really cool to see like one of them. Well, I guess Thing maybe back in the day was like a reserve Avenger or whatever. But I would like to see that. Like take Reed or Sue and make them an Avenger.
You had She-Hulk as an Avenger.
Yeah.
Right? And then you had her as a Fantastic Four member too.
Yeah, exactly.
You've had her have both.
I mean, everybody in Marvel's been in a reserve Avenger. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
They have a very deep roster.
If you could, what creative team would you pick for the Avengers? I'd pick Jeff Lemire, Donny Cates, and Ryan Stegman. That would be a really solid lineup. I think Rant, Cat, and myself mentioned Donny Cates actually thinking of doing Avengers.
Yeah.
Because he wrote Thor, because he did Hulk. So we were thinking that maybe he would be the one to do it, which I think he could do it in all reality. Because when you talk about like world threats, like Donny Cates, I think knows how to write world events that are going, that are going to destroy the earth or whatever it is. So I think he could do that really well. Probably just not the right time for him right now, but I think he definitely could do it for sure. Jeff Lemire, great writer. I think he could do something like that too. Ryan Stegman artwork is perfect also. So the artist though on this one, on the new Avengers on this Avengers title though, is the same artist that did the Black Cat series.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize that. That's really cool.
That artwork is really good.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a pretty book also, for sure.
I'm happy with that. There's a newer artist, is it Ivan Coelho? I really like their stuff, and that would be a good style for Avengers as well. But yeah, if it wasn't Jed MacKay, Donny Cates was my pick for Avengers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and but I'm happy with Jed MacKay. I think we had I think you mentioned it on your video that we had kind of wanted Jed MacKay to take over Spider-Man.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm happy with him on Avengers too, because I want to enjoy Avengers. And if he's writing it, I'm definitely going to try it. So
I mean, when I heard it, I was like, sweet, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like right there in itself, I was like, no matter what happens, I'm buying the book. No matter who was on the team,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Mr. Negative says Iron Man, Ben Reilly, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and She-Hulk. I would like She-Hulk on the team, though. I think she's pretty cool, as it would be a cool Avenger. Ben Reilly, interesting. Even as Chasm or back as his regular self, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the old Ben Reilly, sure. And She-Hulk, as long as it's not the big dumb version of She-Hulk, I'm good with her being on the team.
They're like the night. This is it. Once Ben is back in Scarlet Spider.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm cool with that. Yeah, for sure.
Infamous Mike Manhattan says, did you hear they announced Tron 3, but for some reason they didn't bring back the director of Tron 2, even though he made up Top Gun Maverick, one of the biggest box office success of 2022. I actually did not hear that. I'm not a huge Tron guy. I don't think I saw the new movie either.
I did see it. It was decent. I'm not a huge Tron guy either, though. So I didn't think it was like so good and I can understand why they would pick another director because of that. But I hadn't heard that.
Here we got another team. The name changes: Hawkeye, Beast, Wonder Man, Wasp, Scarlet Witch, Vision,
I like
and
that.
Captain America. That's a quite interesting lineup too. Especially you got Scarlet Witch book going on right now, and Viv is showing up in that series also. And Beast is an interesting one too. You got that intellect there with Beast, which is good. Wonder Man, you got the strength out of that.
Yeah.
Wasp, obviously, you got with her size, how she can change. So yeah, that's a pretty good one. And you got the magic user. So I like that. And then you got Hawkeye, who's just the street level guy.
Yeah, with Beast, what they're kind of doing with him in the X-Men though is they're kind of making him a jerk, and he's getting darker and darker. Yeah, so I don't know if he's right for the Avengers anymore, or any team for that matter. I like if you're gonna have Iron Man in there and I know that we didn't love the run, but because of him and Hellcat and their relationship, I like Hellcat as a character. I would actually kind of like to see her on the team. And like Jessica Jones, I think she'd be a good addition as well. A different take completely. She's not really a team player, but
right. Put her back on the Avengers again.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. We got Darth Kaiju says Spider-Man, Hulk, Wonder Man, Wasp, Janet, Beta Ray Bill. I like that. I like Beta Ray Bill. That's cool. Sif, Cyclops, and Crystal of the Inhumans. Spider-Man, the leader, 4 powerhouses and tactical Cyclops, 2 magic users, and an Inhuman wild card. That's an interesting lineup. That's very creative.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on with Crystal these days. We haven't seen any of the Inhumans for a really long time.
Oh my God, no. I know. This is an interesting pick. I really like that. And Beta Ray Bill is different because it's not just Thor, right?
Right. Yeah.
This gets a character in a book that we don't see too often. So I that's what I like about this lineup here. And I think sometimes maybe that's what Avengers should be, book characters that you don't always see, and you just put them together as a team, right?
Yeah, exactly. I do think Beta Ray Bill and Sif are a little redundant, and you have a Hulk and a Wonder Man, so that's a lot of power. And Spider-Man's strong too, so it might be a little too powerful.
Don't mess with them, right?
Right.
I like the creativity though. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
This is one that goes for power. See, it's like it's kind of cool doing this because you get to see how your team balances out. Do you favor power? Do you favor tactical skills? Do you favor magic? I think that's what's awesome about it. What about the Dark Avengers? Yeah, go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like a trading card game with all the stats.
Exactly. Like Marvel cards back in the day.
Exactly.
Right? It says, what about the Dark Avengers? When the Dark Avengers came out, I really liked that that concept. And Norman Osborn as like the leader, as the Iron Patriot, I thought that was really cool. I would have to take some time though to think about my team of Dark Avengers. Like I had to, come up with my couples Avengers.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool because of what they've done with the Avenger Prime. Like have Loki lead the Avengers. That would be a Dark Avengers,
right?
Yeah, him put together his own team of Avengers. No Grant Morrison, please. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan.
Let's get weird.
It's just not my taste. His weirdness is not my taste, my personal taste.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, let's see what else.
Speaking of which, though, there's a rumor going around that in the movie world, James Gunn is toying with doing All-Star Superman. So
I did hear about that.
Yeah,
it was on Twitter. I think he posted something just because he was reading it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a lot of stuff going around, and we won't know until anything gets announced. He could be just doing his research,
Yeah, exactly.
With Frank Castle, Ghost Rider, Venom, Daredevil, and a lecture written by Mark Miller.
Well, that would definitely be in a different Avengers. That'd be
Like,
that would be a definitely darker Avengers, and
yeah,
especially with
it
Mark
should be
Miller.
darker Avengers.
Yeah, right. Or edgy Avengers. That's what that would be. Or street
Here,
level Avengers.
I honestly wanted another Black Cat book or Black Cat Mary Jane ongoing after Dark Web. So I
I
heard
agree.
this. No,
Yeah.
no, I read this
Uh-huh.
on my Facebook group, real brief, mentioning I think that Black Cat and Mary Jane, it's not, I can't 100% confirm this, are going to be getting an ongoing book together. Again,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but I read it in my Facebook group. That would be awesome if that's the case.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
So we'll
absolutely.
see. All right. So do we have any other teams here? Any other? Here's a comment here. My favorite Avengers team: Crystal, Cersei, Black Knight, Thunderstrike, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Hercules. This team was from the 90s. Avengers 343. Throw in She-Hulk for some extra fun.
Yeah. I remember that era. Thunderstrike replaced Thor and all that stuff.
Yeah. I have a few of those comics in that time frame.
Yeah. I like Black Knight. I don't think they do enough with that character these days. I think he can be really interesting if he has the right creative team on him.
Manny the Hobgoblin Collector goes, "Hi all. I'm a bit late. I know Mike is not including Miss Marvel."
No.
Yeah.
I like Miss Marvel, but we're not going to get into that. I haven't watched your video. I just saw the thumb. I was like, yeah.
Oh, you gotta watch that video.
I know.
You have not seen. I have not gone off on a rant like that in a very, very long time. I mean,
Yeah.
I just lost it on there. Oh, freaking dark, freaking Ms. Marvel. What is this here? Dark Avengers. Make them the monster hunting magic team. Blade, Punisher, Moon Knight, Elektra, X-23, Scarlet Witch, Deadpool, and Ronin.
Ronin.
Oh,
which
man.
version of Ronin? Like Hawkeye Ronin or Echo Ronin or which Ronin are we talking?
Crazy. That's an insane one though, right there. Are you putting Blade, Punisher, Moon Knight in there?
That would
Which
be
version of Punisher? Like the Punisher of right now? I mean, the dude's so OP right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think you'd have to bring back the Marvel Max line to do this team.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Empire Comics says he says that Ms. Marvel ran was epic. Oh man, it just came out. Let me tell you. But yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to the new Avengers and this lineup and everything else. But this was a lot of fun putting this together. It was like Brant and I were trying to come up with a topic today. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? We're like, I already talked about the Avengers team on my channel, but I was like, we were like, maybe we could have the viewers come up with their favorite Avengers, because there's people on a team that we're not always going to agree with, or we think that we would like to see. So there you got a chance, an opportunity to actually put together your own Avengers team, right? So,
yeah.
And like
who doesn't love fan casting, right?
Yeah, exactly. And who's to say that this team is not going to change? And but I have trust in Jed MacKay. I think everything that he's written so far has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I love everything he does, but he's got a pretty good track record with me. And if there's a character that you may not like, I'm pretty sure that he can maybe change your mind about him. Taskmaster was one of them for me.
Yeah, for sure.
That book was amazing, in my opinion. So he made Taskmaster a complete badass. And that's how I truly, got into Jed MacKay. And then he did Black Cat. And I'm like, that's it. I like this guy.
Yeah, exactly. After that, it's like anything with his name on it, I'm trying. So,
Yep, absolutely. All right, so you want to get into some comic books? Talk
yeah,
about.
let's
All
do
right.
it. Actually, before we do that, let me plug my Kickstarter real quick.
Okay.
So I actually have one running right now, and I have one about to launch soon. So, the first one is a puzzle campaign, so not really the audience for that here, but if you want to check it out, you can go to torchnightgames.com/Oz, and I'll grab that link, or I'll just grab the main link to the Kickstarter, and I'll drop that in the comments there. But we have 3 puzzles, we have 2 diamond painting kits, and we actually have 2 of our comic books on that campaign as well. So check that out, and then launching soon is the second issue of our Cyberpunk comic book series, In the Land of the Dragon. And we have the pre-launch page up for that if you want to check that out. So issue 1 just finished fulfilling that completely, and issue 2 is about to drop. So check that out.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got some comic books to talk about. Let me switch it over on my dock here. Get those big books up this week. All right. So first book we're going to talk about. Curious what the viewers think about this book. Leave it in the comments below, guys. And we have Nightwing issue 100, the milestone issue. This book was not one of those, anthology books or a bunch of people writing a story, which I was happy about that it was one story. Was it repetitive? Yeah, because again, you got Heartless in there and nothing like really truly happens there.
Yeah.
But it was a good moment when you got to see Dick interact with Batman, what they meant to each other. And that's what Tom Taylor does so well. That's what makes me attracted to his writing, And I
Right.
love the end of, the prison not being a prison anymore. And we rebuilt Titans Tower. And now he's going to be in charge of the Titans once again, but in a much higher form. Like they're going to be the next Justice League because there's not going to be a
Right.
Justice League. It's just going to be a Titans because Wonder Woman and Superman asked him to be in charge. And I love how he had to think about it, and because he realized how big of a responsibility that actually is. And he doesn't want to give out his city as well. So he's like, you know what? We're going to build Titans Tower in Bloodhaven. So it's going to be protected and it's going to be the home base for the entire world. So I thought that was pretty neat, man. I like that aspect. I just thought it was oversized really for no reason. And the main story of it with Heartless and everything was just like, oh, Heartless runs away. He'll be back again some other day. That's basically what it was.
Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of, aside from the stuff between Batman and Nightwing, which was really touching and really good. And the small moments that we get with Babs, there wasn't a whole lot of substance to this, unfortunately. But it was, it was a celebratory issue. It was what you expect from like 100th issue or whatever from DC, and it's kind of how it was better than most of those like anniversary issues. At least it wasn't a bunch of random stories.
Right.
We did get like those few pinups at the beginning. I was like, are they going to do this every few pages or something?
That's what I thought at too. Yeah. First.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but they didn't. It was just that one time, which I appreciated. That was a nice little touch. And yeah, it was a fine story, but it was kind of what we've been getting from Nightwing for a while now. And so it wasn't anything like, oh my God, this is going to blow me away. That's why we couldn't make it our topic. It was like, how are we going to make this? There wasn't much to talk about there. It was going to be a very quick discussion. So,
yeah, exactly. Here we got one more team that showed up. Adam says the Avengers should be Deadpool, Doc Ock, Moon Knight, Taskmaster, Juggernaut, Spider-Man 2099, and Wolverine.
that's talking about teams right out of the 90s. That would definitely fit that bill. That would be interesting.
Doc Ock on there, though? That would be interesting.
Yeah. That's definitely a more like a Dark Avengers.
Talk about Juggernaut, dude. Man,
oh man. Talk about power.
Right? Yeah. I know, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Nightwing was one of those books where, it wasn't bad. It was just it didn't need to be as long as it was,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
I wish maybe they would have done something else with the beginning part of the story when it came to just randomly breaking out prisoners. And then Nightwing just happens to be like, come on, guys, you don't want to go with Heartless because he does this to children. It's kind of like,
Yeah,
really? And they're all like, okay, Nightwing, we'll join you. Like, I didn't like that part of it. I was like,
yeah,
that's kind of lame. Okay.
right.
But the end of it, though, was what made up for it.
Exactly. I agree.
All right. So let's talk about Nightclub issue 2, the $1.99 book from Mark Miller. Um, I like this issue better than the first issue, actually, because
Yeah,
we get to see him recruit his friends to be like superheroes with him, and he
yeah,
like fights them and they get powers and they're kind of exploring all, their newfound powers, and they're going to take on the school bully. And I felt like this was the light issue before things start to get darker and more realistic on what it's like to be this type of hero.
yeah. No, I agree. It was definitely stronger than the first issue. I still think these people are agreeing to things way too fast. It's that's my one nitpick about it. It's like, just be vampires with me, okay? And then how do you? Let's learn how to do this. You just do this. You transform like this, okay? That's my only nitpick with the book, is that it's just too easy. Everything's just too easy.
I think like maybe that has to do with like if you were watching a movie or a half hour show, like you couldn't fit all that into, one comic book. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
in a way, I thought that too, but I'm like, well, how much are they going to spend negotiating, about being a vampire or not? Because I mean, it was true. It's kind of like, no way, I'm not going to be a vampire. Next panel is like, hell yeah, I'm a vampire now,
yeah,
but it's like, are they going to go back and forth? It's like, so I kind of understand why it was like that. And I feel like he doesn't want to bore the reader with that unnecessary
yeah.
dialogue if it's going to happen anyway, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think I would have rather, like, okay, 3 weeks later, after much discussion, just like
Maybe
do a
like
little
a
time
quick
jump.
little box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Something other than just those very quick decisions, and very, oh, I learned how to transform into a bat within 2 seconds because you told me to just do it, that kind of thing. But aside from that, I did think this issue was better. I like that they're all now like these superhero characters, and the other shoe's going to drop now, that there's got to be something that's going to happen. It's like, oh, there's got to be a downside to this, right? It can't just be
Mhm.
all rainbows and butterflies. And also, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the foreword of Nemesis last time, he was talking about how all his books are going to cross over this year.
Really?
So yeah, so even like the Magic Order, Nemesis, Nightclub, all of his books in his Millerverse are somehow crossing over. And
What?
so yeah, so that made me actually want to keep reading this, because I was like, how are you going to make these? Because Magic Order is like this whole other thing, and I'm like, how are
Yeah.
you going to mesh all that stuff together? I'm
Like
very
that's the most
curious.
way out there book, I guess, compared to Nemesis and
Right,
Nightclub. Like Nightclub and Nemesis, I can see.
right.
Magic Order, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all that comes together, and which exactly, like, which books. I know there's another book he's going to launch too that's going to fit into this whole thing, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all comes together.
Right, right. Mr. Negative says it's annoying because it's obviously rushed since the series is probably just going to be 4 to 6 issues.
Right.
Would be cool if this was an ongoing, especially at $1.99. I mean, most of his series are always miniseries anyway. And listen, I think for $1.99, though, you are getting a pretty fun and decent story out of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't have too many complaints personally on for me, at least anyway.
Yeah, for that, I kind of get that going in because most of his stuff is, and not saying he doesn't love the comic medium, and not saying he doesn't take his time to craft a comic story, because I think he does, but they're also pitch packages for Netflix, right?
Sure.
So, yeah,
Absolutely. My gripe with this issue was just the very ending. I was like, oh, it was like, oh, they're going to the school bully and they threw a basketball at his face.
right.
Deal.
Yeah. No,
Like
I'm the big man.
I was a little disappointed with that. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man.
It's like parts of it are really rushed, and then parts of it are like decompressed. So
right.
it's
I was
wait a
like,
minute.
what I would have loved to seen is maybe he threw the basketball at his face and he decapitated him.
Yeah, something like that.
And then it'd be like, holy shit, I just killed somebody.
Right.
Like have it hit home for him that he actually did something wrong. And then he's, all these people witnessed him do this.
Yeah.
So I think that would have maybe hit a little harder instead of him just getting knocked out or whatever.
Yeah, either that or the bully ended up being a werewolf or something.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Something like that, right?
Something that makes you kind of be like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so let's talk about the conclusion to Strange issue 10.
Let's do it.
There's
Saved
not
him
much.
with a kiss.
There's not much. It was very. It was like,
much.
See,
it was a little disappointing.
Jed MacKay wrote this one, right? I think you froze up, Brant. Yeah, you did. You froze up. So while Brant comes back on, hopefully he comes back on. I just wanted to say when it came to Strange, I like the overall series. I just felt like the last issue was just very convenient. It just happened to end with them off in the sunset and they're together and Doctor Strange comes back and then it's like, oh, he's going to get his new series, right? But the overall series was okay for me, but it just that last issue didn't blow me away. So I think Brant's trying to come back. I got the little circle of death going on over here. So I don't know what's happened. There he is. You're back.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think my internet went completely out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little jumpy right now.
Okay.
You're like, okay. I think you're
I'm working on
now.
it.
You're just fuzzy, so we'll see what happens here. Let's see. So, what did you think of Strange?
All right. Am I delayed?
I think you're good now.
Okay, I'm good now. Okay. Yeah, there just wasn't much to it, like you said. I was trying to say that when I cut off, that it was a little disappointing, a little lackluster. Didn't she did she bring him back with a kiss or something? And he came back to life. He's okay now.
They decided to kiss.
Yeah.
And it was like the living with the death, and they became one cosmic being, basically.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. And they were all powerful, and they destroyed the Sentry, and they destroyed
that's right.
that one guy. And then all of a sudden it ended and they separated. And then literally they went off flying in the sunset together because he got his life back. And
he's like, I'm back, baby.
Literally, that's how it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now because when they were combined, they were like, "We are strange." That was cheesy. Yeah,
this was one of those ones where it was like, this is not the best ending. I just felt like maybe this was a book that was supposed to go on longer, or maybe it just needed to end. It's just I don't know. So it wasn't that great for me. It was it was what it was. The last two issues were kind of a lackluster for me. So
right, exactly.
All right. So what was your number 5 then, Brent?
Why don't you go first? Because I'm almost there. I'm ranking my books right now as we've been talking. So I'm almost there though.
So my number 5 is actually Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man issue 2. I'm actually enjoying the series. It's not what everyone really thinks it is. Like in the last issue, you thought that Iron Man wound up getting wasted and he was drunk and he
Yeah.
fell off the wagon. Well, in the last issue, he went to an AA meeting and we found out that he got his, I don't know if it was hot chocolate or whatever it was, but someone poisoned it and he almost died. So someone is trying to assassinate Tony Stark. We don't know who it is. He also had the living laser sent out to kill him as well. And then Riri Williams makes her appearance in this book as well. And she actually has the Mandarin rings on her. And she acquired them in the last volume, which I didn't know that. And you can see that she's kind of using them. And it might not be the best thing for her, and Tony Stark warns her. And she's kind of like, whatever. And then, she flies away and that's that. I mean, I like the issue. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I agree. I enjoyed this issue too. And I think I probably like this issue better than issue 1. But I must have fallen off the last volume before that happened because I did not know that either about Ironheart. But that's an interesting way to go with her, having the rings and not just having them, but like wearing them all the time. So that's gonna cause some issues there. But I like that where this is headed, and like you said, the whole falling off the wagon thing, you didn't really, but at the same time, because that was our concern with the issue 1 was we just saw that. We just saw him falling off the wagon and all that stuff. So it's good that they're going in a different direction with that too. For sure.
Right. Exactly. I agree 100%.
Just got a
question here. Yeah, I'll get that next.
Okay.
Mike and Brant, who is your favorite comic villain of all time? Okay, I understand that it's too broad of a question, but since you were first introduced to comics, I'll let you go first.
I really honestly like characters like Magneto. Just because they have like a just cause and you can kind of understand their side of things. So I always like that kind of tortured villain. So Magneto is definitely at the top of that list.
Gotcha. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say Venom. Just because of how scary of a character he was when he was first introduced. He was so menacing, and the fear in Mary Jane's eyes when she first saw him, and what he did to Black Cat when he first appeared. Also, like he basically almost killed her, and I, as a younger reader at that time, was like, wow, I was blown away by the character at that time. An evil Spider-Man, like that was insane, right? And so, like I said, when I got into comics, it was because of Spider-Man. So Venom really sticks out for me because that's right when he was created. There's so many other villains out there, and I'm a huge fan of like B-listers, those off-the-wall characters. But if you're talking A-lister villain, it's got to be Venom for me.
Yeah, if Venom hadn't changed so much since then, it'd probably be one of my top ones as well. It's just when I think about it, I think about like the past 10 years of Venom, and it's like
I understand.
Don't really love that Venom, but
right.
I agree. At the time, he was definitely the coolest,
right,
and most impactful for sure.
All right, so then we're going to get to our $10 super chat. So thank you so much. My dream team. Here we go. Scarlet Spider, Ben Riley. This is the second time we had this. Marvel, Venom, Eddie Brock, or Anti-Venom, which is interesting. Daredevil, Black Cat, Spider-Gwen. We got a whole Spider team here. The Sandman, which the anti-hero version, which Sandman was on the Avengers at one point. Blade, Captain America, Jubilee, and Rogue. This
Jubilee's an
is a
interesting choice.
crazy team. This would be interesting how this team would get along with each other.
Yeah, because I mean, especially with like Ben Reilly and Eddie Brock, man, and I like having Spider-Gwen on the team because that's interesting. But then you got 3 Spider characters on there,
right?
Jubilee, I don't understand. That's the one I'm like, why Jubilee of all characters? Unless you just really like Jubilee, which is really cool.
Well, he put Rogue in there to kind of have a friend. So
yeah, I love Rogue on the team. I mean, somebody that can siphon powers of other mutants and is typically flying and super strong. I mean, you can't really
she
go
can
wrong
hold
with
her
Rogue.
own.
Yeah. So I really like a lot of elements of this team, actually.
Yep.
This could be a really interesting team. Yeah.
And Blade can chop people's heads off. So there you
go. Yeah. And if it's vampire version of Jubilee, then you got Blade and Jubilee in a dynamic there. So that would be interesting.
Yep. So yeah, thank you so much for that super chat. That's awesome. I love the team. And again, guys, if you want to keep putting those teams down, we're more than welcome to share them. All right. So let's move on to our next book. We're going to talk about Batman, Superman, World's Finest. This is issue 11. That's hard to believe.
I actually didn't do my number 5 yet, but that's
go ahead. I didn't know if you were ready or not.
Yeah, I'm ready. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So it'll be a quick one because I know you don't read it. This was kind of a history of Rita Repulsa and how she became Mistress Wile. So it was kind of a flashback issue and kind of delved deeper into her history and her relationship with her father and stuff like that. So it was pretty good. So anyway, let's get back to the big books.
All right, real quick. Finally arrange my shelves where everything is organized and easy to find.
Nice.
That's always a plus.
I'm not there.
Ongoing struggle.
Yeah, mine are a mess right now.
All right, so let's see what do we got next. We have Batman, Superman, World's Finest. What did you think about this issue?
I mean, I thought it was a fine issue, and I'm trying to remember. This was like one of the first books I read, so I'm trying to remember exactly what happened.
This is the kid David when Batman or Superman actually tried to depower him because he's starting to go off the handle. Then he goes back. He has to go back to his ship because his ship is getting ready to take off, and he's getting ready to go away with it.
Phases out with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I thought it was because of the reveal that we got last issue, and then you go into this, and then you don't mention any of that. You just kind of know it, that it's coming still. So I thought it was a very interesting way to go and it kind of makes sense with who the character becomes, that there would be that mistrust formed between him and Superman. Mm-hmm. So, he was tempted to take all his powers away, which is a really huge thing for a superhero, right? Or for any power being, you're taking a choice away from them and that kind of thing. So,
and he couldn't do it. He could not do it. And he said that he reminded him of his son. Like he basically said that in this issue,
Yeah.
Very powerful moment. I really enjoyed this issue a lot. And we're not done with this arc. It looks like we got another issue left based off of the end. And it's good, man. It's a good book. There's never an issue where I'm like disappointed with it.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. It's a really solid book. And I was like a little worried from last issue because like we talked about last week, Kat and I know that character, and it's like, well, I kind of see where this is going, but I'm glad they kind of still walked it back and hit you with those emotional moments in this issue. So
right, you just feel for him because he's been got dealt with a crappy hand, and it's like, his planet blows up, he comes back, he's trying to fit in, he can't help the way his personality is, and his people are doubting him. Then he knows he's getting transported to a different Earth. And it's like, oh, I'll find somebody else there that will help me out. And look where he winds up, So it's kind of like, that's unfortunate,
I am in Texas. So just to answer that comment or question, rather.
And then we got My Dream Team is Silver Sable, Spider-Man, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, Psylocke, and Thor. Wow. Doctor Doom. You would know that he would have to be the team leader for sure.
Yeah. I don't even know how that team would work. I love Psylocke. Yeah.
I like the Spider-Man and Silver Sable team up.
Yeah.
That's
but then
cool.
you throw Doctor Doom in there, and it just Doctor Doom and Ghost Rider trying to coexist and Thor. Man, that's combustible. That's what that is.
Oh man, I could see them doing battle with each other for sure.
Yeah,
that's insane. I still love it though. I like trying to put these things together to see, okay, how would they actually work as a team, you know?
Yeah. I would like to see how. Go ahead.
I was going to say, can you imagine them being put together in an issue 1 and then all looking at each other going, really? I got to work with this guy?
Right. I would be very curious to see like how these Marvel meetings go when they're like pitching ideas for the next thing, and is like, I want to put together a new Avengers team. Which characters can I use? And they're like, these are available. Okay, let me use this one. And they're like, no, this one's doing this and this one's doing that, and that just sounds stupid.
Yeah,
I would be really curious to be like a fly on the wall in those conversations.
All right, so let's move on. Punisher issue 9. I get to see an epic battle between Ares and Frank Castle. We get to see narration from Maria, who is the wife, and then you find out that she's like dressed like one of the people at the end. Yeah, it looks like she embraces Frank now.
Yeah, it took some turns that I wasn't expecting, so that was interesting to hear her perspective on how he viewed war and stuff and like that, and it seemed like it was going to a point where she was not really happy with him, and then it turned on its head. It's like, no, I just accepted that's how it was, and now it was like, okay, that's all right. So now what are we going to see from her? Is she going to be like, I don't know. I don't know what her role is going to be now. I'm very curious.
Well, what do you think about the end, though, about all of them teaming up with each other? So you got Daredevil. You want to talk about Avengers, right?
Right. Daredevil, Wolverine, right? Black Widow was there.
Black Widow was there. There was
Cap,
a whole bunch. Cap. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people there going, we gotta do something about Frank, you know. So I was like, that's pretty awesome right there. So whenever that happens, I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be a very interesting battle. But man, he took out Ares just like it was nothing for Frank Castle. So this dude is powerful.
Yeah, he is. He's got all the powers now.
Yeah.
Comic Toby 420 says Cat's in Hawaii. She bought some local creator comics. It's on Instagram. So there you go.
Nice. I didn't know she had bought some comics there. That's really cool. I didn't know where she was. She's posting some pictures of a Kickstarter prep and different things. So that's cool. Awesome.
I would like to be in Hawaii. That
would be nice. Yes.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Instead of dealing with these Texas allergies I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right. So Punisher was really good. Looking forward to it. I wonder if we're getting close to like the end of this story. I wonder.
Surely. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of seems that way, right?
Yeah. They're definitely like on the edge of the big battle between, the Hand and everybody else. So once we get past that, who knows what's going to happen with Frank?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Next, we're going to talk about Barbaric, Hell to Pay, issue 1. I'm the only one that reads this. The only thing I can say is that it was really good. It continues off of the last volume. So if you have not read, I would say volumes 1 and 2. Definitely pick up volume 3, and then you'll know exactly where you are. But the characters are really good. It's a funny gory type of comic book. And yeah, it's awesome. So don't want to spend too much time on that since Brant definitely did not read that yet.
Yeah. So Timmy asked how Punisher killed Ares. Magic.
I mean,
no other answer.
He's got the power of the hand.
It was a magic bullet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the beast or whatever he is these days.
He's got demonic power. Yeah.
He had like he used like a sword or whatever and chopped it up and made it into bullets. And the dude is all crazy right now. I mean, it's all magic. It's all basically it's all magic, and he's been gaining these powers as he's gone. But it's been a good story. It really, really has. So looking forward to seeing how it does wrap up. All right, Brand, what was your number 4?
My number 4 is New Champion of Shazam, number 4, last issue of the series. Mary Marvel fully takes on the name of Shazam in this issue. So like she has to rescue her little sister Darla, who got kidnapped, and she faces off against the big bad, who turns out to be Dr. Sivana's daughter. So as a classic DC villain and the daughter of that villain. So and in the process, like the reporters are interviewing Darla, and she's like, don't call her Lady this or Miss that or whatever. She's Shazam. And I thought that was fitting for her character. And it looks like it's continuing on into one of the Lazarus Planet things, because like Billy shows up at the very end and he's like, don't come here and that kind of thing. So of course she's going to go there. So that's going to be one of those one shots. And I thought it was a solid series. It was a fun read all throughout, and it made me want more. So hopefully we'll continue to see the Shazam family in the future.
Yeah, that'll be in the Lazarus Planet thing, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's see. So that was your number 4. Yep. Mine was Nightwing. So we already talked about that.
Gotcha. That fell out of my top 5, actually. So
gotcha. Yeah, those emotional moments, they were really good. Powerful. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to The Flash, issue 791. This is part 2 of that Minute War. What'd you think about this part of the issue? I really enjoyed it too, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was I liked the emotional stuff with Iris, like especially when he showed up with her in his arms and they're like, kids, go inside, you've carried her long enough and all that. That was really powerful. You had the kind of sibling rivalry going on between Bart and Wallace, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. And learning a little bit more about the Fraction and how they're doing what they're doing and how it's affecting the world. I thought it was good because it wasn't like super wordy, but it wasn't just all action and running around. You had these emotional beats. It was still kind of a quick read at the same time, but it got you further in the event. There was forward momentum, really beautiful art. So I enjoyed it.
I like how you got to the end of it and it was the Empress that they realized that the Flash family is out there and
and it's kind of an anomaly because there's so many of them.
Yeah. And they're like, we can hunt them down. So let's get the hunter out there. And then you get to see that villain at the end of it. And I was just like, that's awesome. Yeah. And so what this book reminds me of is kind of like how comics used to be written all the time. It was kind of like a beginning, middle, and end. It wasn't overly like the pacing of it is really nice. The artwork is bright and vibrant. There's a lot of action. There is meaning behind the book. There is emotion behind the book. It's a little bit of everything, right? And then it leaves you with this kick-ass cliffhanger. And I was like, man, like this book right here is why I fell in love with comic books to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. It's as far as like contained events go, I think this is one of the better ones that we've seen in a while. And at least so far. And you've got all these rich characters, and some of them you don't see very often, like Quick and Max Mercury and characters like that maybe you're not even familiar with, and you get to be reintroduced to them and learn a little bit about them as you go along, and seeing all these characters that are obviously connected through the Speed Force and through past relationships and stuff having to come together, and they only have each other because the rest of the entire world is moving too slow, so it's a really cool story. I really like it too. So
yeah, really great. This was a phenomenal book. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like this live stream, please give it a thumbs up. Just let everybody know that it exists out there. And we bring this show to you each and every week. We do our very best. And hopefully, is Kat coming back next week? Or is she?
I think she was going to try. I don't remember if she was going to come back next week or not.
Hopefully, Kat will be back. If not, then Brant and I will do it again. So that's fine. But like I said, give this video a like and subscribe to both channels. Comic Book Weekly, where you can watch all the episodes over there, and my channel as well, where you can see all my other content as well. So, so thank you so much, guys. And we're going to keep going here with our big books of the week. And the next book we're going to talk about is Lazarus Planet, Assault on Krypton. Listen, for me, this was a big waste of time. The only one I liked was the Lex Luthor story with Mercy in there, how she changed into cyborg. Otherwise, all the other stories were just a waste of time for me.
Yeah, and like the Power Girl story, I think I got nothing out of that one.
She's telekinetic now. She's like a freaking Jean Grey.
Yeah, and it was just like, and it's going to be temporary because that's what all this Lazarus Planet stuff is, right? But at least we think that's the case. We'll see what happens. But there wasn't a whole lot to this, and it didn't give me a lot of hope or promise for the other one shots either. It's got me nervous about those. So I don't know. I wish they were structuring this event a little bit differently.
Yeah,
not loving
I
the way
agree.
It's going.
I just wish that, again, so we go back to contained events, right? The way Flash is it's perfect. And why couldn't you just do this with Lazarus Planet? Why couldn't you just make this a 5-6 issue series and then be done with it? It's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. It's like everyone has got to have a take on these particular characters. And it's just like, I don't care what happened to Power Girl for 6 pages. I don't care what happened to this Dreamer character that was introduced in Supergirl TV show. Like, you're assuming I know who she is. What if I didn't watch freaking Supergirl? You know what I'm saying? They did such a bad job at telling the reader on who she actually is. And then all of a sudden she goes into Dr. Fate's mind, and then all of a sudden she comes out with the freaking helmet. And it's just like, it's so easy for her. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, we can do better than this. Like, even if you did, like, you don't need 6 separate stories. Even did maybe 2 stories. Just something that gives you a little bit more substance. You can't get that much out of something when it's only like 2-3 pages long.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like it's either 10 miniseries that you have to follow, or they're doing this, and it's like there's got to be some kind of balance somewhere in between that's not too much and not too little, and I feel like this was definitely too little. And like the John Kent story, it was like there was really no point to that story at all. It was just a fun little story, which is fine. This kid gets powers and does some good, but there wasn't really anything. Are we ever going to see that character again? Probably not. Or actually, it does say it's going to continue into that new series that he's starting in. So maybe we will. But it didn't feel important. And I think that was my problem with most of these. They didn't feel overly important.
Exactly. It just feels like they're just there.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right.
And maybe we're wrong. Maybe in the main thing they'll come into play. But just reading this alone, it was like, I don't think it made me wonder if I even want to read any more than one shot. So
I might still, though. I
know it's hard. We like,
because you kind of want to know what's going on,
right?
And I think that's the reason why you want to read it. You know,
exactly.
All right, so we got a super chat here from Frank once again. He says people forget that they can't be named Shazam because when they introduce themselves, they change back.
That is true, and she actually did that in this issue. She did it to fry somebody. But I guess if other people introduce them, then it's fine, which is what happened in this issue. But
meet Shazam.
Her little sister said, "She's Shazam. Man, that's a tongue twister. She's Shazam.
She's Shazam. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Frank, for that super chat.
Good point, though.
Yeah, that is funny. All right, so let's continue forward now to number 3. What was your number 3 this week, Brett?
Mine was Invincible Iron Man, so we already talked about it.
What was it?
Invincible Iron Man.
Oh, gotcha. So you liked it. You really liked it.
I did like it.
It's good. Mine was World's Finest, issue 11. So we already talked about that. And then we did talk about New Champions of Shazam. And then we're going to talk about The Lost Hunt, issue 3. I actually read this after I read all my comics because I didn't read issue 2 and 3. I mean, I didn't read issue 2. So I read 2 and 3 together. Okay. So I like this book. However, I mean, this is just me. I'm not a huge fan of the artwork though in this book. It just seems a little off to me. I feel like if we had, it's not like I dislike the artwork. I just feel like if there was a different artist, it could be made out to be much more darker than it actually is, because this is a dark book. And seeing what Peter's going through, it's tough. He's going through a lot, and now he's transformed into some, I don't know what the heck happened to him at the end of the last issue, but he's like evil now or something, or magic happened. I don't know exactly, but but it was a pretty good issue. I mean, I didn't mind it. It was fine.
Yeah, it's decent. It's better than some of those that we've been getting, the flashback stuff, but the Spider-Man ones are typically solid. So I thought it was a decent read. I think I like the first 2 issues better than this one, but yeah, it was all right. I don't know. I got to see what happens with like this version of Peter, like what's happened to him, because it's obviously it's temporary, so it's not going to have any lasting effects. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know where this particular one's going. It started off strong, but now this one has started to lose me a little bit. So but is it only 4 issues or is it 5?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But it was okay. I mean, you got to see the mother. You thought she got killed, but she didn't get killed, and like I guess her body walked away. Whatever it was, and it was
it's 5.
It's 5.
Yeah, so there's 2 more. Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard because it's a story that takes place a long time ago.
Right.
That's when this happened. So it's just, you're kind of like, all right, this is like a lost story. Mary Jane was pregnant. Like, what happens? So I don't know. It's good. I feel like it's better than what we're getting right now in any other Spider-Man book, I feel like. So I'll take it for what it is.
Yeah. It looks like we're getting some secret history of Kraven in the next issue. So
okay. Yeah. I feel like I need a little bit more story progression to it.
Yeah.
I feel like Peter's is kind of just like there, and we don't see him as Spider-Man, which I think that's the point, because he doesn't have powers or anything like that. But it's like, when you read a Spider-Man book, you definitely want to see Spider-Man in it, right? So it's kind of tough. All right, so let's move on to number 2. What was your number 2?
Batman, Superman, World's Finest. So we already talked about
right there.
Yeah.
Mine was Nightclub issue 2. So we talked about that.
All
and then let's see. We got the Wasp, huh?
So I know you didn't care for this book. I didn't watch the video, but I kind of got the picture from the thumb. But yeah. So what did you think of it, Mike?
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't. It wasn't anything where it was like when I did it on Worthy Ones. And I probably gave this book, if I remember correctly, I gave it like a C, maybe a C minus.
Okay,
It was just
not too
average for me because
Okay.
when I look at the book, there wasn't a really great cliffhanger, and there really wasn't it wasn't really the best villain. And
Yeah.
the one thing you get is you wind up getting Nadia and was it Janet, right?
Yeah.
And you find out that they're both their relatives wind up getting killed by the same thing. And it looks like the creature now is possessed the grandfather, I think, of Nadia, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
So I was like, okay, and then it was like she's sitting there in the bar talking, and I'm just like, I don't need talking at a bar. I don't need any of that stuff. And then they're just talking in the laboratory, and they're talking, and I'm like, blah 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 blah. And so the whole issue wasn't that exciting for me. Whirlwind comes out of nowhere. He's being possessed, and it was just an uneventful battle for me. Again, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. It didn't make me say, you know what, this was awesome, great cliffhanger. I can't wait for issue 2.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. So it was a very low key book, and I wish they had gone with a different villain, or at least done something to make Whirlwind cool.
Yeah,
because it's just like typical old school Whirlwind here, just a little upgraded. I do like Janet and Nadia a lot, and I like their relationship. And so I like those moments where they were talking and stuff. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. But at the same time, I agree with you. The villains were nothing in this book, and I wasn't invested in the big bad that they're going to face and all that stuff. So I will probably get issue 2, but I didn't love this one so much that I mean, I was kind of excited for this one, and it was on my most anticipated, and it was a little bit of a letdown. So, it's disappointing when you love characters like that and you want to see them, succeed and do something really cool. And then you get this kind of story that just, it's ultimately not going to do much for them. So,
right. Exactly. Yep. I just thought the villain was just, there was nothing to it. There was nothing special. It was like, oh, if you look, you're going to die. Okay.
Right.
Just don't look at it. All right. Is anyone reading the new Silver Surfer? It comes out next week. New Silver
Probably
Surfer
not.
series. So I think I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
And see what it is.
I'm just not a huge Silver Surfer fan.
Steve says, I skipped the Wasp. Team was lackluster. So I was on the fence about it too. And I'm going to be on the fence about if I'm going to buy issue 2. I still might buy issue 2. It might depend on how many comics I have.
Right.
But, it wasn't a big comic book week this week. Like, there wasn't a ton of books I bought. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And I did. And I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have read it. So,
yeah.
All right. So we talked about Invincible Iron Man issue 2. So what's your number 1 comic, Grant?
The Flash.
And mine was The Flash also.
Nice.
Mine was The Flash by far. It was just a fun comic. I think that's what I love. I love when comics are fun like that.
Right.
Not all of them are, It's just like, again, it doesn't have to be a super complex comic book to make it a good comic book. It can be a simplistic writing as long as it's entertaining, and that's what a comic should do. It should entertain you. It should put a smile on your face when you get done reading it, and you're going to want to read that second issue, right? Or next issue, I should say, for that matter.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think this event, this 1 Minute War so far is doing just that.
Perfect. Yes, absolutely. All right. So we're going to dive in now to the most anticipated. So you want to kick that off, Brent?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So we are going to, the way this works, we read our list real quick, and then we'll go back and discuss them in a little bit more detail, but not spend a whole lot of time on them. because we don't want to keep you guys too late. So, but we appreciate all you watching. So,
Absolutely.
I'll run through my list, and then you can run through yours. My number 3 is Sins of Sinister, number 1. Then Action Comics 1051 and Inferno Girl Red issue 1. So, what are yours?
Okay. Well, before we go into Sins of Sinister, someone already told me in my Facebook group that read it said it was boring.
Yeah.
So
I saw that comment.
Did you? Oh, you did see it?
I did see that comment. Yeah, it popped up on my feed.
Man, I'm like, God, I'm not looking for. I don't want it to be a bunch of sitting around and talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree with you.
I hope it's not that. I don't want
too.
it to do that. All right. So my most anticipated Murder World Wolverine issue 1, which is actually technically it's issue 3.
Yeah.
I love this story. I think it's a lot of fun with just Arcade having normal people in his murder world kill each other for money. I think that's awesome. It's like Squid Games. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
We have Thor issue 30, which is the continuation or maybe the conclusion to this story arc. We got them entering in this realm, and I guess they're going to meet up with Thanos.
All right, hold off on your number 1 real quick. So I'll back up and Sins of Sinister. It's so I'm not like looking for it. I'm not excited for it, but I'm curious about it. So I'm like you said, I hope that it's not just boring and it's sinister being sinister. So we'll see. Infernal Girl Red. It's I missed the Kickstarter for this one. I couldn't back it at the time, so I'm excited to get this issue, and it's connected to that whole Massiverse and Radiant Black and all that stuff. So I've been excited about this one for a while. So I'm glad it's finally here. So yeah, let's get into first Murder World. I didn't realize there were as many parts as there are.
Yeah.
So I thought it was only going to be 3, but it's like 4 or 5, right?
Yeah. And I think the final one is called like Murder World Game Over or something like that. So yeah. So this Wolverine one looks like it's going to have the Wolverine characters in it too. So I'm looking forward to it.
Is Moon Knight next? Is that the next?
Is it? I don't even know. Maybe.
I think there's a Moon Knight one.
Oh man, that's
how do you do that? Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, let's get into Action Comics because that's your number 1. So it's the only one that's on both of our lists this week. So yeah, go ahead.
So this one for me, like I'm excited for the Superman family to return and for the new direction of the characters and all these characters. What I'm not excited about is that it has that urban legends feel where it's a bunch of stories. And the only thing that I'm crossing my fingers is that if they're going to do this, is that if the stories will be entertaining. Like I don't have a problem with an anthology book if it has a purpose, right? So if you have 3 different stories and those 3 different stories continue within Action Comics, I don't have an issue with that. But if you're going to have one story and then a different story and then a different story and that different story, and it doesn't make sense, then that's when you're going to lose me with it. But I am hoping that Superman makes an impact in 2023.
Yeah, I do too. And just kind of looking at all the Superman titles that are coming out this year. And, I think we got Superman number 1. We got the John Kent one. We got another Superman book. And then this one, obviously. So I'm really hoping it's a good balance across the relaunch of this brand, basically, is what it is, of these characters. And I just want good stories with the Superman family, and I don't want it to be like an anthology. I don't want it to be Batman Urban Legends. I hope it doesn't follow that method, but or that format. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to see all the Superman family characters highlighted, and hope it's good storytelling. So we'll see tomorrow, or some people already have seen today because it came out today technically. But
yeah, exactly. Mr. Negative said, I guess this is talking about the event.
Yeah.
I've heard it's surprisingly good for people who haven't liked X-Men. So that might be good. That's good news.
Exactly. That one issue that I talked about on the show, I think it was not this issue of Immortal X-Men, but the previous one was a good lead
Yeah,
up
you
to
said it
this.
was good. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I got the Emma Frost cover too. So
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that Emma Frost cover.
Yeah.
No, that was my favorite comic book cover of the week. That is
Nice.
a gorgeous cover.
It is. It really is.
All right. So that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay. So that is all that we have for you tonight, guys. We had a lot of fun chatting tonight. When it comes to all your favorite superheroes or villains being Avengers, that was great. Maybe we can do this again soon, maybe with a Justice League team, since we don't even have a Justice League team.
Exactly.
Maybe we can create your own Justice League. I'm not a huge DC guy, so maybe I'll just put random characters together for fun,
Yeah.
you know? And maybe we could talk about that one day, or some other types of teams, right? Maybe assemble your own X-Men team or whatever. But it'll be a lot of fun. But we had fun tonight discussing the comics, the news, the Avenger stuff. And like I said, hopefully Kat returns next week. If not, we'll do the show once again. But this show does not exist with all you guys. So, of course, if you love the show, make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly so you can watch all of the episodes on there back to back to back to back to back. Make sure you got a lot of time because it is a long time to watch all those episodes. And subscribe to Comic Book Corner 2.0 so you don't miss any content from me as I put up daily content on my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Guys, when you hit that bell, just don't hit it. Make sure you receive all notifications. So when you have your phone in your hands, it says Comic Book Weekly going live or Comic Book Corner 2.0 has a new video. Make sure you do that. And then, of course, give this video a thumbs up. Follow us on all the socials like, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all that other great stuff. So, guys, this is the time where we say goodnight. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you all next week. Take care, everyone, and happy new comic book day.